Hello everyone and welcome back to Babbling with Brooke. This is going to be episode number 5, I believe, which is so exciting. I feel like I say this at the beginning of every episode, but the fact that we have now made it to 5 episodes after starting from nothing and this podcast just being like a random idea for me, it means the world to me, you know? Like it's like accomplishing a little dream, I guess you could say. But today, I am actually recording in my parents' house. I did come home for my reading week. My reading week's a little weird. It is like the same as March break for the little elementary school kids, which is a little strange. I believe my college is the only college that does it that way. So I did come back to my parents' house to spend it here and do some work here, as well as obviously record podcasts, film some YouTube videos, and just spend time with my family. I was so excited to see them again. I came home on Thursday and today's Saturday when I'm filming this. So I came home a couple of days ago and I've gotten to see my dog and my cats, and it's just really, really fun and exciting, and I'm really happy to just kind of share my days with them while I'm doing my work, because obviously I miss them quite a bit when I am not here. As for personal Disney news this week, first off, if you haven't heard, 2 weeks ago I got my acceptance to the Disney Cultural Representative Program, which is so wonderfully exciting. I'm going to be starting there in December, working in the Canada Pavilion in Epcot for at least a year, if not a little bit longer. I'm really hoping to be able to extend that. And I also have an interview. This is new news. I have an interview next week. So next Monday. So a Monday after you're hearing this, because I'm filming this like 2 days before it goes up. So next Tuesday. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess. Next Tuesday, I have my interview for the Disney Academic Exchange Program. So it's not going to be one or the other. I'm hoping to do both programs kind of simultaneously. I will have to leave the country and come back for 4 days just to activate those visas properly. But it's the same recruiter for everything, so I'm kind of hoping to be able to talk to her and we can work out some dates and how everything's potentially going to work together. And I also have the opportunity to do some absolute dream roles in the academic exchange program that are not available in the cultural exchange program or the cultural representative program. And as I'm sitting here talking, my camera for YouTube is already dying, so we are already gonna have to pause. Okay, and we are back rolling. Setting up for this podcast was kind of a struggle today. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I'm using my little phone tripod as my mic stand today just because it's so messy. Originally, I'm kind of glad my camera battery died because that also gave me a chance to go grab my coffee, which was in the other side of the room. Little ASMR today, even though the ice is pretty much already melted. I guess we can start getting right on into today's topic, which is Disney Resort hotels. And I actually did not make any notes for this podcast, so we're going straight with it, and it's either going to be wonderful or it is completely going to fail. I'm not sure. This is the only podcast I believe so far, except for the introduction one, that I have not made any notes at all for. So we're going to see how it works out. But Disney World Resort hotels, why I love them, why I like to stay at them versus off-property hotels. And this is not me bashing off-property hotels by any means. I think there are some amazing off-property hotels, and a lot of people do prefer to stay at those, especially if they have any sort of hotel rewards points or anything like that. They can get those hotels for quite cheap, and I encourage you to do that. But for my Disney vacations personally, I really enjoy staying at Walt Disney World on-site resort hotels, and we're kind of going to get into why I love to do that and some of my stories as to why I've done that in the past and why it's worked out better for me and stuff like that. So I've personally stayed on-site a ton of times. I stayed at so many different on-site Disney World Resort hotels. There's only a handful that I still need to check off my list. I love Walt Disney Resort hotels. There's been multiple times now where I've taken resort-only vacations vacations, which are vacations where I just go to stay at the hotel and I'll maybe do like one day in the park on the trip. Back in May, I did a Disney World resort hopping vacation. So me and my mom went and we stayed at 7 different resorts over 8 nights, which sounds absolutely insane. And it is insane. But we weren't going to the parks, which I think is why it worked out. I would never, ever, ever recommend anyone do this if they were going to the park. But I had my annual pass, so I literally just ended up going to Flower and Garden one day when we were staying at Coronado Springs for 2 nights in a row. That was the only resort where we did more than one night at. So that day in between, I went to Flower and Garden Festival, and that was the only time I went to the parks on that trip. My mom didn't have park tickets at all, so while I was at Flower and Garden, she just lounged around the resort, and we were both so happy with how that trip went. We both really adore Disney World Resort hotels, and it was just a really amazing experience, which we will get into. I just think maybe we should go through this in order of just like everything about the resort, like in order of a vacation. So I think the really cool first off the bat thing is that you can check into your resort room early, and I really appreciate this because there's a higher chance that your room is going to be ready. Being able to check in online is a huge difference for me, for the fact that there is very rarely not a room ready when I arrive, and I get that text and I'm able to go straight to my room. If I don't want to talk to the person at the front desk at all, I don't have to, which is really time saving. I can also recommend rooms in certain locations, or I could recommend a first floor. I never recommend a first floor, but I could recommend a first floor or a king bed, which is another thing I never do, but I could potentially do that. When I'm staying at Pop Century, I always recommend the 50s section. I adore the 50s section. It is my absolute favorite area to stay in because it's so close to everything. The theming is just so cute, and the bowling pin pool is my absolute favorite. I'm trying to think if there's any other really specific areas I recommend at any other resorts. Caribbean Beach, when we stayed there, we got lucky and got a room really close to the Skyliner. Even though we weren't going to the parks, though, it was still really convenient, especially with the Joffrey's cart right there, which I can really appreciate. So I would definitely recommend staying in that kind of area. I don't really think I recommend specific areas in too many other resorts. Those, if you are like recommending a certain area or really want a certain area, your best bet is obviously going to be to get that like preferred room or pool view or whatever. Like that's going to be how you kind of guarantee those areas. Port Orleans French Quarter is another one where I just like to upgrade right off the bat because I love being so close to the pool, so I'll recommend a pool view room for that. I really enjoy those rooms. So both times I stayed at Port Orleans French Quarter, I've gotten that pool view. First time was just by chance, and then the second time I was like, I cannot go back to anything but this pool view. But anyway, you can do all this on the app, and you can get your room number. Like I usually get it when I'm at the airport, so you like arrive at MCO and I refresh my phone and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm staying. I'm on Magical Express, and it's like, your room is ready. And there's nothing more exciting than getting that your room is ready text. And you can still go to the front desk if you want to. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, for sure. I mean, I still go sometimes if I don't know where my room is. Like when me and my mom did do that resort hopping vacation, there were so many resorts that we had never ever been to before, like ever. So we still needed to go to the front desk and get a map for where we were staying because we were so confused on where we were going. And then also you can get your bags like sent to your room with bell services and that too, which is really convenient. Reminder, please always tip your bell service people because they do work off of tips a lot of the times. And Disney cast members are heavily underpaid in many different roles. So if you're using bell services, make sure you tip them, please. But anyway, you can get them. So when we stayed at Coronado Springs, for example, they took us in a golf cart right to our room with our luggage, which we would not have had we have just like tried to go to our room right away. So it's really convenient to be able to go to bell services and get that as well. Obviously, all hotels, I believe, have bell services. Like, that's not a Disney specific thing. That's just like a hotel thing. But when you get off your transportation, specifically regarding what used to be the Magical Express and is now Mears Connect or Sunshine Flyer or whatever service you choose to take that's not an Uber, the bus services, a lot of times they'll have people greeting you right out front, which is so fun. The AllStars is actually one of my favorites to do this because they have little red carpets set up out front, and they have all the cast members come out and they're like clapping and saying welcome home, and it just makes it a really, really beautiful stay and really beautiful entrance to your resort. Same with Animal Kingdom Lodge, like Jambo, welcome home, like kind of thing they say right at the front, and that makes me smile all the time too. And I can't think of one experience I've had getting off one of those buses and not having a very welcoming experience right off the bat. So that's definitely one way the cast members kind of go above and beyond for you. You go to your room next, and obviously you need a room key. So if you do not have any sort of like magic band or anything like that, you will have to go to the front desk. I obviously have like so many magic bands because I've been staying at Disney Resort hotels so long. I got so many when they were giving one out for free with every single stay back a couple years ago. So I have one in every single color, and then I also have a couple magic band pluses now. So I have a couple of those, but those will open your resort hotel room. So magic bands are like my favorite thing. And then you can also open your resort hotel room from your phone, which is another cool, really cool experience that is pretty unique to Disney, I think. The only other place that I can really think of that has major wristbands is Great Wolf Lodge, because you get your wristband and it does everything, and it's very, magic band-esque sort of deal. So you can open it with your magic band, which I really love. I wear my magic band all the time on Disney Resort vacations, so not having to worry about a card or a room key means a lot to me because there is enough stuff floating around my bag already. I don't want to carry around a room key with me too, so being able to do that on my phone or whatever means a lot. And also, I am notorious for forgetting a key card in the room. I do that all the time. Sometimes even forget my magic band in the room. So instead of having to go to the front desk, if I forget, like, I don't have to worry about a key card, so I can open it with my magic band. If I forget my magic band in the room, I will 99.9% of the time have my phone on me. So it's really, really convenient that way. The rooms themselves, one thing you can always guarantee with Disney is quality. I've never been concerned about bed bugs or anything like that. Mind you, Disney is... It's people are human. I don't know how else to say that. Sometimes stuff screws up, and in the past, I have had some unfortunate circumstances entering in my Disney hotel room for the first time, but statistically, I feel like that's going to happen no matter where you're staying. We did open a hotel room door once to like an ant infestation, which was really unfortunate, but Disney staff were so good at helping us get a new room, and overall the situation was all resolved. Any situation we have where we've had to change a room, which I think has only happened, I want to say it's actually only happened once in the past. The ant thing is all I can think of. But Disney rooms, you have a guaranteed, or at least I feel they're guaranteed to be clean, which I can really appreciate because there's nothing that disgusts me more than a grimy hotel room. I can't do it. And I mean, I know sometimes those budget hotel rooms, like that's all people can afford, but I just cannot feel at home, and I don't feel comfortable in a room that I feel is dirty. And that's like, I know outdated carpets and that, like all of that, like it happens, but that's also one of the reasons I haven't stayed at AllStar Sports in a while, because why would I stay at AllStar Sports when I could stay at music or movies with the updated rooms and the not grimy wallpaper for the same price? But AllStar Sports is slowly but surely getting the renovation. So AllStar Sports is actually my favorite of the AllStar Resorts for all of the amenities and the looks and all that stuff and the way the resort is set up. So I'm really, really excited for those renovations to be done because I think the rooms are gonna look amazing. So you're in your room now on your Disney vacation, and some of the rooms have these table beds, which sound a little uncomfortable, but they're actually really, really comfy. So Value resorts are probably the best example of this, but I know other resorts have them now too, where you're going to have your one queen bed, and then your other bed is going to be like a Murphy pull-down table bed, and it still has the same like thick style mattress and that on it, but it just leaves more space. And if you're the only one staying there, we all know I love my solo vacations. If you haven't listened to the episode on going to Disney solo, I highly recommend. You can have so much more space in that room, a fully functioning like dining table, as well as, you know, the little cart with the mini fridge and stuff on it, your TV stand, all that, and it just leaves so much more space in the room. So much more space. I love it. We also had that bed at the Riviera. Now, the Riviera was a little strange because when we stayed at our studio suite there, that was the only bed option. So it was a sofa that pulled down into the bed, and the studio was it was a very, very small room, I will say, but it was the Riviera, and that was what we could afford at the Riviera, and we really wanted to stay there, so we did that for a night. And I will say that mattress is a little bit different than the ones at the Value Resorts, and it was a little bit thinner, which did surprise me, and definitely did not get as good of a sleep there. So I would recommend going up to like the regular studio instead of the mini kind of studio that we had there. But each Disney resort room has like very generally comfortable beds. Another thing that Disney resort hotel rooms have that I really love is dividers between the general bathroom area and like the toilet and shower area for the most part. So every Disney resort hotel room's a little bit different, but for the most part you're going to have your vanity sink area, which has like a curtain or some sort of barn door or something closure on it. And then you also have a separate area with the toilet and shower in it, or you'll have a separate area with just the toilet and the shower will be out in like the sink part area. But that actually makes it really convenient for families, especially because, or even with when you have multiple people getting ready, because someone could be in there showering. I'm just thinking like Pop Century rooms off the top of my head. That's what comes to mind. Someone could be in there showering while someone else is doing their makeup out at the sink. And once you go moderate resorts and up, you also have double sinks, which once again, really convenient for larger families, or just if you have multiple girls in a room trying to get ready at the same time. And those room perks right there do mean a lot to me, and it just makes getting ready so much easier and so much faster. And there's so much storage in the rooms in general. All the beds are raised for the most part in all the renovated rooms, so you can slide luggage under there if you want to. There's tons of drawers, tons of storage space. There's a mini fridge in every single Walt Disney World resort hotel room. There's a coffee maker. Once again, I know those are like basics in a lot of hotel rooms, but it does mean a lot to me the way the room is organized and the little extra things that are added onto it. There's also usually some little taste of Disney that adds onto your room, along with, of course, just the general theming of the resorts. I mean, I feel like that's one of the most obvious ones, but one we can't really look over is how well themed and immersed you are in every single Walt Disney World resort. And any hotel you're going to outside of that is pretty much just going to be your basic hotel, with a few exceptions. Of course, we all know like the Gaylord Palms Resort, Universal Resorts sometimes have some like cool things going on, and there was that Nickelodeon hotel that's now a Holiday Inn, and I think they still have some cool like water park stuff going on. And then of course like vacation homes and all that, like you can get that outside of Disney, but it's not the same atmosphere exactly, and it just immerses you in a way that you can't really compare it to anywhere else. Now, you're settled in your room and you're hungry, so you go to the food court, and all Walt Disney World Resort hotels have a food court. Moderate, deluxe, all that have more dining options, so you're going to have like your table service sit-down restaurants and such, but everywhere at least is going to have a food court. And one of my favorite things... Oh, there's a kitty here. We have a visitor. Melody has come in to check out and see what we are doing today. But food court, one of my favorite things to purchase at the food court is going to be those refillable drink mugs. And if you've heard me talk about these before, you know how much I love them. But basically, you purchase a mug at the beginning of your Walt Disney World trip, and you can refill that drink mug as many times as you want throughout your stay. And you can get things in it like hot chocolate, coffee, teas, and then all your fountain drinks. So Powerade, Coke, Sprite, whatever you want, all those are included. The drink mugs are a really reasonable price. I believe they're like $22 or $23.99 now, and you divide that out by the fact that a drink at Disney is like $4, and you are saving money when you get those mugs. And then of course you get to take the drink mug home too, which is a really big thing in the fact that you can just have a little souvenir that goes with it too. But overall, these drink mugs are so convenient, and you're not thinking about money when you're refilling it. So, for example, I would, if I didn't have the drink mug, I would probably avoid buying those drinks in general. Like, I would just make coffee in the room, so I would still have coffee, but I would never get a tea or hot chocolate. I would just get water with every meal, which, yes, is a lot healthier. I understand that, but, you know, you're on vacation, you want to treat yourself. So I really don't think twice about getting those extra drinks when I am in Disney with my refillable drink mug. I don't have to worry about it. I can have, you know, Coke and ice and lounge by the pool, and it's so nice. So I highly recommend getting one of those refillable drink mugs, and that's something I really appreciate, because let's say you are staying offsite at a hotel, you really don't have any options, honestly. Like, there might be some sort of quick service kind of style food there, but you're going to be buying like bottled pops unless you have access to like a grocery store, for example, and you're going to be buying stuff like that. So really, Disney has one leg up, I think, on their whole food style and food court style food. You also do get a dining credit right now with some Disney Resort hotel stays. Is one of the special offers they have on, where you get like a $750 dining credit if you stay so many nights at a resort hotel, which makes it very worth it. I used to stay all the time when they had the free dining plan, which 1000% made staying at a Disney World Resort hotel worth it. So there is a cat playing with plastic. One moment. Oh, here she is. Do you want to tell the people anything? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so now that you are fed and you're in your room, it's probably time to go to the parks, head out somewhere. I mean, Disney transportation is included in your Disney resort stay. And this is where I think the cost really comes in as to making these Disney resort hotels worth it. Because if you are getting an Uber to and from the parks every day, that is expensive. If you are renting a car, that is expensive, and then you also have to think about gas and everything else. If you have a hotel shuttle, the hours are probably fairly limited on when those shuttles run, so you're probably going to have the hotel shuttle, but then still spend some money on Ubers, and also have to be on the hotel shuttle schedule, which may limit you a lot as well. And that's how you get around Disney World generally. So an Uber from an offsite hotel is gonna be $15-$20 each way. That's just the facts. That's what it was when I was staying at a Disney, just outside of Disney Springs, the hotel across from the old Vista Way, the Holiday Inn there. That's what you're gonna be paying each direction in US dollars. That adds up very quickly. You are looking at between $30 to $40 a day just in transportation, not even including the fact that after fireworks, it's going to be surge pricing, which means those prices are going to go up. If you are staying offsite, you're also going to have to pay for parking if you are doing like a rental car, which is not cheap. That's like $20 a day now, I believe, or over $20 a day. Parking is so expensive in Disney World. And that doesn't even include the fact that if you want to leave, go back to your resort hotel in the afternoon, and then come back, that Uber cost is then going to be doubled for the day. So you're talking some really expensive costs that way. If you take your average Holiday Inn, let's say it costs you $120 a night, you're probably going to have to pay a resort fee. So let's say you're paying $20 a night resort fee, which is actually a really cheap resort fee. So $140. And then each day you're going to be paying for 2 Ubers. So let's say that's going to be another $40. You're at like $180, which is going to be about the same cost, or is going to be the same cost as staying at a Disney Value Resort. And you get all these other perks when you stay at a Value Resort or just a Disney resort in general. So Honestly, when you add up those costs, it's about the same. So I see no flaws with staying at a Disney resort hotel. Obviously, once you get into moderate and deluxe resorts, those costs are going to be a little different. And I mean, if you have, like we said at the beginning, if you have points for a certain hotel or something, that makes it a little irrelevant. But a lot of people see those base prices for resort hotels offsite and are like, oh, that's so much cheaper, and then forget to add in all the additional costs. Same thing if you're at an Airbnb. It just, I don't know, Airbnbs, I feel like Airbnbs are kind of like going out of style right now. Like there's all these chores you have to do and all these extra fees and such, and you're just not getting the same quality of a stay for your money, even though you're probably paying about the same. So now you're going to the parks, and cool thing about the parks, if you're staying at a Walt Disney Resort hotel, is you get in the parks a half hour early. It's not the same as how Extra Magic Hours used to work, but this can be really big for getting on some of the larger rides. You get to go in a half hour early no matter what. And if you're staying at a deluxe resort, you get to stay an extra couple hours later some nights depending on the park. So you really get those kind of first dibs on the rides in the morning. You can get in before the lineups really start, especially for rides like Seven Dwarf Mine Train, for Rise of the Resistance, all those kind of rides. You can get in before the lines even really start to form, and you can go ride those rides, and those extra half hours in the morning can be super, super valuable to your resort stay. And then, of course, we have all the little extras that I've personally experienced at Disney World resorts. And these are, some of them are amazing. What am I saying? Some of them are not at all resorts, and some of them I've only experienced a couple times. But first off, I think one of the most important things, if you have little kids, is the lifeguards at the pool. Disney lifeguards are so well trained, and you can really trust your kids are safe there. There's also pool activities. Children's activities are always there at the pool during the day, so you can keep your little kids interactive and stuff, and that's just another way Disney is going extra above and beyond, especially for families. Back to rooms, we can talk about family suites too all day. Disney has those room sizes for families of 5 at moderate resort prices, which are really, really beneficial for those families of 5, or you can even do suites, like the Art of Animation, for example, or, go up to a moderate or deluxe suite as well. Back to the pool area, some of the really cool things that I've experienced, once again, with just that customer service, guest service, going above and beyond. When I stayed at AllStar Music last time, there was quite literally cast members walking around doing the most amazing things for guests. They were handing out cooling towels to everyone at the pool. I've never seen that at a Disney resort anywhere, and they were just handing out cooling towels. Like, that's a really amazing little add-on. When I was in the food court, actually, at the same Disney resort, AllStar Music, they had people going around handing out condiments. So they were like, come around and be like, oh, do you need any like ketchup or anything? And if you needed some, they had some right on hand. So you didn't even have to get up. Like, where else does stuff like that happen at like a quick service style restaurant? It doesn't. Or they take your plates from you, all that kind of stuff. Once again, we have to go back to like Disney transportation, because Disney transportation is just, it's absolutely unmatched in the sense that there are so many options. So you have buses, you have the Skyliner, you have the monorail, you can walk. If you are staying at some resorts, you can quite literally walk to your hotel from the theme parks. And that can be huge. Like, that can be so big. I don't know. When I was staying at the Swan and Dolphin, which I know isn't technically a Disney resort, but they have a lot of the same perks, we were able to walk to Hollywood Studios and Epcot all the time. When I stayed at the Beach Club, we didn't have park tickets that day, but we walked to Epcot and watched the fireworks from outside the gate. Multiple times I've walked to and from the Contemporary. I haven't stayed at the Contemporary in a very, very, very long time, like 12 years, I think it's coming up now, since I last stayed at the Contemporary, so it was a lot cheaper back then, and a lot of things have changed. Disney also has the campground, which is a really cool experience. Something I've always wanted to do is rent a trailer, because, I mean, obviously I don't have a trailer, and go down to Florida in January or something and rent an RV and put it at a Disney campsite. I think that would be a really cool experience. I don't know if I'd want to do it in like the dead of summer because it might be a little warm, but definitely I would want to do it during January or something. Disney resort hotels also have some of the best table service restaurants, I will say. My favorite table service restaurant of all time, Trails End, is unfortunately closing, which makes me very, very sad. But Ohana Breakfast also, like, heavily creeped up to one of my favorites over the summer. So that was before they got characters back, though. So I don't know if it'll still be the same now that I believe characters are back. Hopefully. But I mean, that's another thing. You can go to character dining breakfasts in your hotel. When we did stay at the Contemporary years ago, like quite literally years ago, like we'd already just said, we had never stayed on property before. The Contemporary was our very first experience staying on Disney property, which, first off, I mean, what a way to start your experience staying on Disney property. But at the Contemporary, at the time, the rates were so much cheaper, let me tell you. And it was late August, and we got the free dining plan package. So us not really knowing a lot about Disney dining or anything like that, we were like, well, why don't we do a buffet breakfast every morning? Because that's what we used to do on our Disney vacations. Prior to this, we would go to Sizzlers every morning and do like their all-you-can-eat breakfast, and then we would be good till like 4 o'clock for dinner because we would just like eat like buffet breakfast, right? So we were like, well, let's do the same. Let's do a buffet breakfast, go to the parks, and then come back and do like the quick service meal for dinner, and we can eat that wherever because we'd never eaten in the parks before. We had always gone off site. Like literally, I don't think I had really eaten a quick service meal at all in the parks before we got the dining plan, just because of the price difference from what you would get at, like, we used to go to Chili's all the time, Ponderosa, all those restaurants that we don't have in Canada, but we're like right outside the Disney Springs area. Anyway, what we did on this trip, and I can't believe we did this now that I know like the quote-unquote exclusivity of a lot of these restaurants, but we ate at Chef Mickey's every single morning except for one, I believe, on that trip. Or it was like every morning except for 2 or something like that. We ate at Chef Mickey's like 5 or 6 times on that trip. So we would wake up at the Contemporary. We would go to Chef Mickey's. Like we would get like the first reservation at like 6:30 in the morning because we were definitely rope drop people. And then we would go start our day. Like, how cool is that? What kind of like, the experience of that alone is just absolutely mind-blowing that I got to do that. So we got to wake up the Contemporary, and then we got to dine with characters. Like, every day we would go and see Mickey Mouse. And how old was I then? Like 14, maybe? That's really cool. Like, I was still a kid. I didn't think of myself as a kid then. Obviously, I was just a young teenager. But at the time, like, thinking back now, I'm like, that's the coolest experience I could get as a kid. Being able to do something like that. And the Disney guest service at all of these hotels is just stunning. I will never forget, like, walking into the Riviera and how nice that cast member was there when we arrived on our plane. Our room was not 100% ready yet when we got there. That's one of those circumstances where it was ready, like, I think it was ready like an hour after we got there, but they were so wonderful in storing our luggage for us, telling us where everything is, all that kind of stuff. When me and my mom explored that resort, we had such just like, I don't even know, like, we just looked through, or at least I felt like we were just looking through this lens of just wonder at this resort, and it was unforgettable, truly. And we can get a little bit into when I did that resort hopping vacation. So if you haven't seen those YouTube videos yet, they are all up on my YouTube channel, all 7 of them, I think there are. So we stayed at 7 different Disney resorts. So we got such a different experience at each of those resort hotels, which is also something that each Disney resort hotel is unique in its own individual way. So let's go through this one by one. I mean, we've already covered the fact that I stayed at the Riviera. Like we've kind of covered that stay. The cool part that I didn't mention about the Riviera is the fact that there was a quiet pool. So there was like the main pool with the water slide and that, and then there was like a quiet pool which was unofficially adults only. There were no kids in it. It was relaxing. You just got to sit there. You got to watch the Skyliner. It was like a, what's it called, where like the pool edge lines up exactly with the water. Like it was just seamless going into the water. It was beautiful. From there, where did we go to stay from there? We went to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge, actually, which was another adventure in itself. I mean, where else are you going to go to Animal Kingdom, like to any resort hotel, and be able to see animals at your window? That was our first time having a safari view. No, I lied. We did not have a safari view on that vacation, but we still got to see so many animals. And during that vacation, actually, one of the animal specialists took us backstage as guests to go see one of the pregnant okapis at the time, which was a really amazing, like one-of-a-kind experience once again. From there, we went to AllStar Music. We've already covered a lot of what the AllStar Resorts have to offer, but the big thing that I love about the AllStar Resorts is the theming. I know a lot of people think this is a little tacky, but honestly, I love the AllStar theming. I think the big characters are so cute, and the rooms themselves have so much to offer, especially for budget hotel rooms. I know a lot of people might not necessarily consider them budget hotel rooms, but honestly, that's the price you're going to pay for a hotel room pretty much anywhere at this point. Like, the prices of everything have gone up. We're not going to lie about that, but I love the resort hotel rooms for what they are. I think they're so spacious, and if I had to put like what is the best hotel room out of all Disney resorts, I would hands down say Value Resort hotel rooms, just because of the way they are set up, and that's why I do stay at Value Resorts so much. Don't get me wrong, I love moderate, and obviously I love deluxe resorts, but room-wise, I think the most functional for a Disney vacation, especially for two people, or like a solo vacation, is those Value Resort hotel rooms for sure. So from there we went to Caribbean Beach, which was also really, really lovely. We just, like I said before, we stayed at one of the rooms close to the Skyliner. They have some like specialty coffees you can get at Caribbean Beach, and there's a Joffrey's right there too, which was really fun. That's one of the resorts that had the pull down bed, and our favorite pool was at Caribbean Beach. Caribbean Beach also has pop fountains around the entire resort, so not just in the food courts. So anytime you wanted a refill on your drink mug, you did not have far to go. You could basically step outside your hotel room, and within your building or the building next to you was going to be a refillable drink station, which made those resort mugs even more worth it. Just incredibly worth it. The convenience of having those stations all over the resort. And then you also have quiet pools all over the resort too, along with the main pool. However, the main pool was definitely my favorite area of that resort for sure. From there, we went to Coronado Springs next, was our next hotel, and we stayed there for 2 nights. Coronado Springs is another one that I was really impressed with and had never been to. The pool area at Coronado Springs is huge, the main pool area. Interesting fact about Coronado Springs, though, is that a lot of the food options are third party, actually. So like the Rick's Cafe and Rick's Bar and Grill are third party. The quick service there is run by a third party, but you can still get classic Disney foods, but they are run ultimately by a third party. Pool bar, third party, all the food there, like third party food, which is really interesting. Not to like that's neither good nor bad. I will say the prices were a little bit higher. Neither good nor bad, but it just gives you options, I think. Like, there were so many food options at Coronado Springs. There's also the Three Bridges Bar and Grill, which I want to go to. There are so many hidden treasures at Disney World Resort hotels, and Coronado Springs is one that I think has a lot of them. For example, Sangria University at Coronado Springs is something I have just been dying to try. I can't wait to go and learn how to make my own sangria. And it's just a little add-on thing that they do. I know they do. I keep talking about the Riviera, but painting at the Riviera, you can learn how to paint like adult classes. We're not talking like, obviously they have kids activities, but I'm talking there are activities for adults too. A lot of the Disney Resort hotels do like a sunrise yoga class, another really cool add on there. But back to Coronado Springs, I really, really love that resort. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. There were little quiet pools everywhere, once again, like a lot of the moderate resort hotels have. And the rooms were so nice. They had a Keurig in those rooms, which I can also really appreciate. And it just felt very non-Disney, actually. I felt like I was staying at a resort hotel in Mexico, which I think is obviously the point. But it just felt really like I was on another planet, and it was wonderful. We then went to, I think we went to Port Orleans French Quarter after that. That was our favorite place to stay on this entire trip because, well, first off, they have the beignets there, which you can't get enough of. They gave us little Mardi Gras beads in our room when we got there, just another little Disney extra. And there's so many ways that Disney just does that above and beyond that you're not going to get anywhere else, and that's what I can really appreciate. From there, we went to Old Key West, which had the best water slide. I don't even really like water slides, but the number of times I went down that water slide is ridiculous. Literally one time, it just whips you around. One time I quite literally did a somersault coming out of that slide because it whipped me around so hard. It was so much fun. And you also could get Dole Whip at Old Key West, which was another really cool experience. Anyway, my camera battery is dying once again, so I think that is cue maybe to end out this episode. This is so much fun to film. I love talking about Disney Resort hotels, and I will continue talking about Disney Resort hotels. I am already trying to plan, like, where do I want to stay when I go in July? Like, where are we staying? Where am I going to go for my birthday? My camera officially died, but we're still going to keep talking. Where am I going to go for my birthday? I definitely want to do a staycation on my birthday this year. I've already have out my little crew of who I want to do it with, so now it's just a matter of planning. I kind of want to go to the Poly, but we'll see where those cast member discounts take us. And I just want to experience all the Disney Resort hotels. There's just something magical about waking up and being in a Disney Resort hotel that is unmatched until you do it. Once you go to a Disney Resort hotel, I promise you will never go back because there is just something magical about those stays. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to me drown on if you made it this far in the podcast. I could talk about Disney Resort hotels quite literally forever, just on and on and on. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the podcast Instagram at Babbling with Brooke, and also make sure you go check out my personal Instagram, Part of Brooke's World. So check those out, and also check out my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to this podcast and rate it 5 stars. I would love for you to do that because the more 5-star ratings we get, the more people that are going to help find it, and we can make it grow and everything else. So thank you again so much for listening, and I hope you have a magical rest of your day.